pull up the slides. There we go. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm sure everyone else will fall in when they do. I don't have any calls or texts from anybody that they couldn't find their panelists. In fact, this was the first meeting that no one has called me back to say, I need my panelist link. So congratulations, we're all there. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide. The agenda this evening is like the rest of our agendas, where we start with a roll call, do a quick roundtable of updates. We'll do a quick review of the minutes. If anyone has questions from the last meeting, I'll give a community outreach update. And I'm going to talk a little about our project construction. Excuse me, that should actually say project communications outreach plan. Somehow that one didn't. I caught one, but I missed that edit. And then update you on the last PAB meeting. And then Ben will go over the project schedule and utility relocation stuff. And we'll continue our discussion about noise and vibration. We'll have an open discussion and then wrap up for the holidays. Next slide, please. As always, this webinar is being recorded. We'll keep our microphones on mute, and if everyone could please make sure that the name on your little postage stamp tile has your name on it, that would be great. We'll continue to just try to speak one person at a time. Raise your virtual hand. If that really doesn't work, I just might not see this. So if you raise your virtual hand on the bottom, we'll most likely see that much better. And next slide, please. Our Zoom meeting code of conduct, we will continue to be respectful, treat everybody with kindness and respect, consideration, and just recognize in general that everyone has different experiences and perspectives from where we sit. So we don't want to, no one is wrong, right? Just have different opinions. So we'll just continue to be respectful of each other. Next slide, please. So we'll do a quick roll call. Ernesto is not going to be joining us this evening. Jeremy will not be joining us this evening. And Jessica Molina has left Catholic Charities and will not be joining us this evening. So I'll go ahead, and if you want to unmute yourself, so that way when I call your name, you can tell me you're here, and if there's an update you'd like to share with everyone, that would be great. So I'll start with Sandy.
Hi, present.
Awesome. Julie.
Present.
Awesome. It's Laura. I don't see Laura here yet. You know what? This is the part where I should really do a quick check on the attendee side, make sure she's not stuck in the wrong side. She's not. Okay. Laura's not here or not here yet, so we'll come back. And Craig, I don't see Craig. Andreas.
Present.
Hi. Did you have any update or anything that you wanted to share?
No updates.
Okay. Thank you. And John.
Good evening, everybody. Looking forward to the holidays. They're here.
I bet. Parking of like a pain yet?
No. We're good. Come see us.
Okay. Awesome. I think I stepped into the mall for the first time in 2 years last week. I was getting work done on my car, and so I went over to Valley Fair. It was, for a Thursday afternoon, it was pretty packed in there.
Yeah, traffic is picking up. I think people are getting more comfortable.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so we'll go on. Let's see, make sure no one else popped in while I did that. Okay, great. Next slide. Okay, so as I mentioned, Ernesto has a family thing this evening, but Jeremy is going to be stepping down from the District 8 Roundtable and wants to focus on work and family. Actually, he did say family and work. And so that opens up a space. And Jessica has left Catholic Charities. I am hoping that perhaps the person, Karina, who is her manager, might be able to fill in her seat. But we will be taking this information to the Policy Advisory Board next month, because we want to give them the opportunity, because they are the ones that nominated all of you. We want to, keep continuous on that. So I just want to say for all of you, I appreciate, and for Jeremy and Jessica and Ernesto will be back. I'm so glad you've stuck this out this last year, and you've been putting a lot of time into learn about the project and getting to know all of us, and all of us getting to know you. So I hope you want to continue on with us. We will be asking the Policy Advisory Board to make nominations. And so I just wanted to remind everyone, what the roles are. It's up on the screen. Hopefully these meetings haven't been too much. But also to help spread the information that we have been sharing with you and bringing back information to us. So, like for the next newsletter, I'll talk about that, but I'm looking for content that, there's what I think we need to put out, but I also want to hear, like, what do people want to know? That's always helpful. And then the criteria to be on the Stakeholder Working Group is the nominees need to live or work or represent a group that's within half a mile of the alignment. And and the group, organization has to focus on community issues, specifically in that area. And they cannot be an elected official or work directly with an elected official that represents City of San Jose or Santa Clara County, or have a conflict of interest in relation to the project with regards to property, or be a VTA current vendor or consultant or contractor. Before I move on, are there any questions about that or dates? I see no hands. Okay, next slide. Thank you. For those of you who might be tuning in for the first time this evening, I'm Kathleen Podrosky. I'm a community outreach supervisor and leading the outreach on this project. And we'll just go down the line, and if each of the VTA staff can introduce themselves, that would be great. Starting with David.
Hello, everybody. David Lovato, Public Communications Specialist, assisting Kathleen on this project.
And Ben, you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Hello, everyone. Van Prasad, Project Manager.
And Hassan.
This is Hassan Basma. I'm Assistant Ben, Engineering Manager with VTA.
And Ken isn't here yet. Oh. I'm sorry, did somebody say something? Okay, Ken is not here yet. He had a conflict and will be joining us. He has to present at another meeting, and we just don't know what time his presentation was, but he'll join us at some point. And Ziad, who you normally see, is on travel this week, so he's out. I feel like the holidays have begun for everyone but us right now. Okay, next meeting, or next slide. Thank you. So last meeting in August, we reviewed every meeting. We did a community outreach review. We talked about the newsletters. In fact, the last time we met, the newsletter was being dropped the next day. So I hope everyone got it and shared it. David and I went and distributed it to all the businesses. I think it took us 3 days. It wasn't all day each day. It was just, chunks of time. Plus copies at the libraries, community centers. And so I hope everyone was able to get some good information from that. And Mary Rubin came and she shared how the art enhancement program works. Mary Rubin, for those who are tuning in, is the project manager with the City of San Jose Public Art Program. And right now the artist contracts are not signed. They're close to being signed. And once that happens, we're able to announce who they are and what stations they will work on. And then we want to have a community meeting just about the art in early next year. I don't feel that this is going to happen in January. That was kind of the goal we were looking at. I think the earliest will be sometime in February. So we'll definitely get, all of you will be noticed. Ben provided his project status updates, and when we last met, PG&E was just getting started, and now they've gotten like all their foundations done, and Ben will give you an update, and we have some pictures to show you. And then we'll go forward on the utility work. Are there any questions about the last meeting we want to address? No hands. Okay, moving on. I'll do my quick community outreach report. So since we've met, the newsletter went out. That's that first icon on top, or the first little image on the top there. Gave a project update. Actually, it was more like to remind people, what is the project? What are we building? And then there was the utility relocation, what to expect over the next few months with all the utility relocations. And the utility companies themselves, by their permits, are required to notify residents, businesses within a smaller range, about 300 feet of the work of the area they're working in. So I take their notices and I supplement that, and they get posted on our VTA website under notices, construction notices, and that's that second little icon on the screen for you. And then below that, I also post it on this project's webpage, the VTA Eastridge to BART. And you have to click on, it has those links right below. It says Stakeholder Working Group, environmental documents. If you click on the link to construction notices, I also put the notices there. So I try to make it so they are easy to find. So we did put out a notice for PG&E. They started in September and they'll probably go through about March. We had a smaller notice for some MCI work that MCI Verizon was doing, and I'm expecting details for their next step any day now. San Jose Water just put out a notice last week for them. And again, you should all hear from them directly if you're within 300 feet of their work area. And if there is going to be any kind of utility shutdown because they're crossing over to a new line, they would notify the customers as well. When we last left, I had about 4 presentations scheduled and 2 ended up being canceled, but we did present to the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association, and we do plan on going back in early 2022, next year, just a few months, weeks. And that was a group that I don't think I had presented to them before. So we gave the overall project scope, and the wheel started turning later. So they would like us to come back with, learn a little bit more details that we've been sharing with all of you. And the one we had for District 8 Community Roundtable was postponed. They meet on the same night as our board of directors, and they would like to have a board member as well. And anytime a group wants to have a board member, and I don't get to schedule that, you need to go through our board office, our board secretary. And so what will happen is District 8 Community Roundtable will find a different evening that doesn't conflict with our board meeting and reschedule that, and then we'll do an update there. We did meet with the Catherine Smith Elementary School, their parents meeting in the morning, gave a project scope to that. And, this is all relationship building. We're gonna go back. We wanna make these regular, appearances to keep people informed and involved. And we will go back early next year. There was a lot of interest in learning how to use VTA services. How do we get around by bus and light rail? How do the transfers work? How do we trip plan? So we're going to bring an information service rep with us. And also one of our other colleagues in our group manages our senior mobility program and can help explain and teach seniors how to ride our system. So doesn't always have to be about this project. So if you ever have other areas of interest, we're available to come to you guys for that. Okay. And then we provide the similar reports to our, next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I did jump ahead. Okay, we'll just leave it there, it's fine. We do provide similar reports to the Policy Advisory Board, and what they would like to see with presentations is more schools. So that's the next step. And they have some contacts with the PTAs, and Sandy also gave me some good contacts with some school boards, so we can start moving forward on that. And they also were suggesting they'd like to see in the next newsletter to talk about more about the project benefits. So I'll make sure I include that in the next newsletter. The last newsletter was long. I had a lot of stuff I was cramming in there. So I think the next few, the next newsletters will be a little bit more targeted and not have to remind everybody what was happening. But that was important too, to bring everyone up to speed. And okay, and then I'll talk about this, and then I have one more thing. So one of the things staff is working on, myself and the engineering team here, is a project communications outreach plan. And, you know, it all comes back to, it's really important to keep the community informed why we're here. And it's a policy that that requires, it's a VTA policy. We require the preparation of an outreach plan for all of our capital projects. And we utilize these during the project construction. And it sets forth all the guidelines and strategies that we use to engage you. And we want to make sure everything is very authentic, that we're efficient, and really inclusive through all the stages of construction. And you know, that's the planning, where we are now, the implementation, the completion. And so it just sets forth the guidelines and strategies for how that happens. It's very dynamic. It gets updated throughout the project as things change, field conditions, community input, and it's used by, like myself and David, the resident engineers, the deputy directors, and also our construction team. And it has specific measures that we look at to address impacts that is practical for the project. So we look at the mitigations that we've been focusing on in these meetings when we talk about traffic, and you're going to learn more about the vibration this evening. It talks about contractor compliance, public notifications, what triggers a notification, how do we get it out? You know, talks about the contractor working hours, everything's just in paper, traffic control, impacts to, these are all the things we look at, impacts to bus and light rail service, property access, emergency access, trash removal. You know, if we're working in front of your house or business, you know, we want to make sure that things continue. Graffiti removal, just how do we address all these things that happen during the project? And okay, before I go on, any questions about that? Okay. And then I just want to follow up, just kind of close the loop. And then Ken, if you want to pipe in for the Ocala area history, let me just switch to the next page. You know, we've talked about that the last couple of meetings. We had a field meeting. We've had presentations to the Eastside Leaders Group and the PAB about this. And there was a referral made from the PAB, a request to have staff evaluate what the potential ridership could be if there was a station at Ocala, and to report back at the December 15th meeting. And so staff is currently working on this evaluation now. And as of this evening, I do not have any projections what that looks like. It's based on assumptions, the what if there was a development at the current airport site. You know, so what would the anticipated ridership be? And it would also, you know, have to, what would it be? And also what is needed to satisfy our current ridership criteria? So, and then any future follow-up might include alternate service options. You know, is it shuttle? Is it bus? We have a bus stop there now. So what could it look like going forward? I don't know if Ken, if you want to add anything to that, or if anyone has any questions.
No, I think that's a good overview. I think the biggest challenge now is there really is no city or county plan for development. So we will need to make some assumptions about what could it look like. And so we're really, you know, not preparing ridership numbers in any other context other than like an order of magnitude. And so we will be providing that analysis now, and we'll be sharing it with Member Chavez. And then at that point, we'll get some direction about how to share it. So we'll give it to her in writing, and then she can decide if that gets presented at a PAB meeting or how she wants to deal with it. But we're preparing our response. That's how referrals work. When a referral means that at a public meeting, a board member will ask us to do something. We'll then provide information to them. And then if they want us to present it or follow up, that can be done. So we're preparing our response to her.
Thank you. All right, now I am going to turn this over to Ven now. I'm going to mute myself, and Ven, it's all yours.
Thank you, Kathleen. Hello again. So I'll provide a project update as to where we are on the real estate, engineering, and construction. For the real estate, we have one more small parcel to be acquired for construction. This is at the intersection of Tully and the Capital Expressway. This is an airport property, so it requires a release from FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. So we are working on it, and we expect to have this before the beginning of the construction. So on the engineering, the development of the plan specifications and estimate continues. We are almost in the final stages of that. So we're also developing, and once the plans are ready, we have to develop this into what's called a construction contract package. So we have started to put this into a contract package to be ready for advertisement. For the construction, as you may know from previous meetings, the utility relocation is the first part of construction. So right now we are in the middle of that. We just started, I should say, about a month ago on the PG&E's transmission line relocation. So I'm going to go in detail in the next few slides on that. Thank you. So on the utility relocation update, we had previously mentioned to you there are underground work and there's overhead work. So on the underground work, we have the PG&E gas relocations. So before I go, so I want to mention that these relocations are needed because these utilities are in the way of the project. If we're going to build a bridge, it's in the way of foundation. If you're going to trench, it's in the way of the trenching for the project. So that's why we're moving this away from the project footprint, so to speak. So there was some relocation work complete on the PG&E gas. So this is between Story and Capitol Avenue along Capital Expressway. So we still have more work to do on the gas relocation near Story. The electrical distribution, this is again a relocation in the ground, is beginning in early 2022. So there was slight delay in here because of the coordination that has to happen between PG&E electrical group and all the communication companies like the AT&T, Comcast, and others. So they're trying to share a trench. We call it as joint trench. So they're working on the designs and coordinating. So there's slight delay in their starting their work. The same thing with communications companies like AT&T, Comcast, others. They're all expected to start in early 2022. For the Sunrise Water Company, they have an 8-inch and a 12-inch line in the project area. So the majority of them are near Story and to the north. Like I said, these are two lines, 8 inches and 12 inches lines. So the relocation of the Sunrise Water line has begun. So it started on November 15th. We expect this work to continue for at least about 4 to 5 months. The transmission line, which is the overhead line, the work is underway. The foundation for that work is complete. So there are about 10 foundations. So these are the foundations for the transmission poles or the steel poles. And those are complete. And the next step is to install the steel poles and hang the wires. So just to recap, it's, the electrical transmission line is on, you may have noticed, some portions is right in the middle of the expressway. Those are all moved to the east side. So it's completely all the line. When once it's relocated, it'll be on the east side and away from the bridge that we plan to build. Next slide, please. So these are the photos that were taken during the foundation work for the electrical transmission line. You probably remember in my previous meetings, I had mentioned to you how a transmission line is relocated. You know, the first part is the foundation. The next part is installing the steel pole, and then, you know, placing the wire or hanging the wires is the third step. So what you see here is the step one. What you see here is it's a drill auger which drills for the foundation. The foundations is roughly about 40 feet deep, and they're about 36-inch in diameter. So all the soils are all taken out of the project site, and once it's excavated or drilled. You may notice that all this work happened at night because of traffic. Wanted to minimize any disruption to the traffic, especially with the rigs being on the street. The foundation work was completed, and the next step is installation of the steel poles. Next slide, please. So you probably may have noticed or seen this slide before. This gives you an overview of where the utility relocation work is happening. All the red circles are the underground work. Trenching and relocating these conduits and things like that. What you see in blue is the transmission line relocation. So that's going to be from the limits of Quinby up to almost to Ocala is where the transmission line relocation is happening. The other underground work is happening almost at all the intersections, and also majority of the work is being done between Capitol Avenue and Story Road. So Story is an intersection that's got a lot of underground relocation work that is expected in the next few months. Next slide, please. So here is an overview of the schedule and funding for the project. The top area is the schedule. You can see the blue bar there is related to property acquisition. So all the property that's needed for relocation of the utilities is complete. So we have earlier, like I mentioned, there's FAA release that needs for one property, and once that's done, we pretty much have all the real estate that's needed for construction of the project. So we have made a good progress in terms of the property acquisition. The red bar you see relates to the utility relocation. We have started, as you can see on the vertical line there, relocation has started and will continue through September of next year. The third one you see, the yellow one, is the final engineering. It continues, and we expect to get the contract document ready for construction in June, July time next year. The one that the factor in here is the RM3 funding. We previously had mentioned to you about this is RM3's regional measure 3 funds that is right now held up in the California Supreme Court because of litigation that was brought up by some of the parties. So we are hoping that there'll be some kind of decision by June so that we can advertise this project. The bottom portion of the slide you see is related to funding. So we have several types of funding. On the left, the first column is the fund type. We have Measure A funds, which is about $313 million. So we have pretty much secured all of the Measure A portion of the money for this project. The second one is called the Senate Bill 1 or SB1. So we estimate about 25 million of that. So we still need about 15.7 million of that money for the project. The third one is the RM3 or the regional measure 3 funding. So we need about 130 million. So that's a big chunk of money we are waiting for this project. The regional measure 3 is a bridge toll that's been collected, and that money is being spent on transportation projects throughout the 9 Bay Area counties. So that's the one we are waiting for. It's a big chunk we need for the project. The next one is called the LC TOP, which stands for Low Carbon Transit Operations Program. So we still need some money there. We need about 8.7 million. If you see on the rightmost column, we need roughly about 8.7 million of that money. So there are other funding sources we are exploring. So we need about 29 million of that. So for a total of 512 million. So we are actively pursuing these funding, and our target is to advertise late June, July time. Next slide, please. So this is, today I want to talk about vibration. If you recall, in the previous meeting, we talked about noise and vibration. In the other previously discussed topics were traffic, school and business. And these are all the issues that would come up during construction, right? The traffic and the schools. I mean, the construction has to happen, but we have to work with the school and businesses so that there's minimal interruption to that. So today I'm going to focus on vibration. We talked a little bit of vibration impacts during construction. So I'm going to go a little bit more detail on, what are we trying to do here to mitigate or reduce the impact as much as possible. So next slide, please. So the noise and vibration criteria is something which, this is again a slide that I had shared last time. What it does is it establishes a criteria for, what is the acceptable noise and vibration for construction. The construction and noise vibration is compared to an ambient level. So the ambient level is, when there is no construction, what kind of noise levels, would you experience, or vibration do you experience? That one of the things we do is, we go with the criteria set by FTA, the Federal Transportation Authority. So that's a guideline for us, so they call out, these are the levels, acceptable levels, during vibration, during construction, noise and vibration levels. So this analysis was done as part of the environmental document. So as any public project, especially a project of this size, we do a very thorough study, technical studies, analysis, modeling, on expected noise and vibration levels for a project of this size. So we have all this documented. It is on the website. We have the environmental document. We have the noise and vibration reports available on the website for anyone to look at. Next slide, please. So this is the model that was established from the environmental study that was done, or the technical study for noise and vibration. So what you see here is an area on the west side of Capitol Expressway. The bottom is the west side, and the top is the east side of it. So what you see in the yellow block here are the readings. So on the numbers in there, these are called the vibration readings. So these are readings that are called out in, we call what's called a peak particle velocity. So the FTA criteria says in anything over 0.2 ppv, which is peak particle velocity, is considered to be above the acceptable vibration level. So what our model shows that these are the homes that may experience higher vibration level. what we are doing, again, like I said, these are all modeling that was done. So during construction, in the very beginning of the project, we would have some test piles done. So what it means is we're going to go to location along the project area, and we're going to do we have what's called a test pile program. So we'd be driving individual piles at several locations. And we are doing it for a couple of reasons. One is to find out the foundation capacity. We call it a pile capacity, and the other one is to get the readings. That's noise or vibration readings. So what it does is it would give us a more accurate readings as to what to expect here. So what it does is it helps us prepare when the actual pile driving for different locations are done. So that's our plan, and so we are working and making sure that we have the right management plan during construction. Next slide, please. So this is the other area which is close to Ocala Avenue, Ocala and Capital Expressway. So our model shows that these residences on both sides will be having vibration levels that exceed 0.2, which is FDA's criteria for damage. So we're going to be monitoring this very closely. We do have some test piles that we're going to be driving these areas, and we're going to get more rather than mathematical modeling like it's done here, that we would get real noise and vibration readings when we do the test piles at several locations along this project area. Next slide, please. So this, you probably may remember, this was one of the slides I'd shared in the previous meeting. I think we all experience on a daily basis, there is some vibration. These are ambient vibrations due to existing from traffic. Vibrations increase during construction. There's that's the vibration that cannot be avoided during construction. So, people experience vibration during construction. The most significant of vibration is during pile driving. So that's where our focus is. That's where our management plan is for how to minimize the vibration. So the criteria that includes is evaluation based on the amount of ground movement. Like I said earlier, there is, we have the peak particle velocity is one of the units for vibration determination. The intensity is as closer to the project. There's it's more intense. So for this project, we are performing a survey for any minor hairline cracks in the paint and on stucco. We're going to monitor for any flaking or anything, or even for any structural damage. So I'm going to go to there's another slide which tells us, what steps we're going to take. So our approach to managing vibration are two steps here. One is, what can we do to control or minimize the vibration at the source, right? The source is, where the pile driving is happening, and then the second is to monitor at the locations where vibration is experienced. In this case, mainly the residences. So we have two ways that we are managing this during construction. So one of the things we are doing to mitigate during construction is to have pile cushion. There's a wooden pile cushion. I don't know if you can see that. This is a pack of wood that's placed on top of the concrete pile. That's the interface between the hammer that hits the pile and the concrete pile that goes into the ground. So we also have pile shroud, which is the one on the right side to minimize or reduce the noise from pile driving. So we have modeled along the project as to where we need to put temporary noise walls. So these are going to be 12 to 15 feet noise walls that we'll be installing when this pile driving occurs. We do have at many locations what's called a cast and drilled hole piles. So these are the ones closer. The homes are very close near Capitol Avenue. There we are drilling. Because we have room there, we can drill for the holes, and there's less vibration in there. And then we also have what's called tire derived aggregates. So these are pieces of crushed tires that are placed under the tracks to reduce vibration. They act as a damper, vibration dampers. So that reduces the vibration. This is after the construction is done for the post-construction. So I want to mention that I think also in the previous meeting I have mentioned that this operation it's continuous from one place to another. This is 4 or 5 days of work in one foundation location, and then we shift to another 200 feet or 175 to 200 feet away. It's the next operation. So this thing keeps going every 5 or 6 days. During the foundation work. Next slide, please. So earlier I had mentioned to you about the two-step process, managing at the source level and then managing at the property area, at the property level or near the homes. So our model from the technical studies has identified 55 properties that are estimated to have a vibration level that exceed the FTS vibration criteria. So what it means is, we want to monitor, we want to make sure that we manage this properly. So we have identified the residences that have potential for experiencing high vibration. In addition to this model, we are going to do the test pile, and we'll get an even better actual data as to what the vibration propagation is and how far is it going and what the vibration levels are. So we're doing that. We'll be informing the property owners. We're going to start this in advance, early, well before construction, so that we have a good management plan on handling this. So we will be installing vibration monitoring device to record vibration readings. So it's almost like a seismometer. It monitors the vibration levels. So we will be taking these readings before construction and during construction. So that we have 2 readings, before and during construction. So we'll be installing, like I said, the vibration monitoring devices to record vibration readings. We will record pre and post-construction vibration data. And then we also want to make sure that we have the photos and videos of the residences, just to make sure that we manage it properly, and if there is any damage, that we're proactive in getting this work complete. If there's any damages, document this and repair those damages. It's very based on the modeling we have, based on the range of peak particle velocity, we don't expect to have any major structural damage or anything. Even the minor damage, we'll know more when we have the readings, when we do a test pile, as to what kind of vibration levels we expect. But nevertheless, we have a management plan to take the vibration readings and also to document from photos and videos, internally and external. So we'll make sure it's managed well. So with that, I think I'm going to open up for any discussion.
Great time to ask questions. So I think one thing we want to assure you is that it's not going to be me or David knocking on people's doors asking if we can take pictures of their homes. We will have people who are much more experienced at this. It'll be a very formal process. The monitoring equipment, we will be asking permission to be on private property to put that monitoring equipment there. So just want to kind of give you an idea that it exceeds what the people in the room right here are doing. Any questions? There we go. Sandy, go ahead.
Will there be any disruptions of utilities during the construction?
You were warbly. I'm so sorry. I didn't catch that.
Oh, will there be any disruptions of utilities or communications for the nearby residents?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the majority of the utility relocations, Sandy, is happening now. Between now and the next 8 or 9 months. We don't. I don't expect any disruptions during the construction of the project itself. One of the things that I know Kathleen mentioned earlier was that PG&E's outreach is working with Kathleen on, for example, right now, on transmission line and others, if there is any disruptions, they are being informed. Kathleen, you want to expand on that?
Yeah, so basically when they go from, when they install the new lines, they need to move the service over to the new lines. And so there might be a temporary disruption, and they would let all the customers know. They should let us know as well, so that we can, again, it's that double. If you didn't read the letter they sent you, hopefully you read the email I sent you, so you're aware of that. But it would be a temporary disruption just while they cut from one service to the new one. But the whole point of the utility relocation, doing it now so that we're ready for construction, so that this doesn't happen, that we don't have those disruptions. That's the intent. If in the event there was a disruption, if something were to accidentally get nicked, that shouldn't have. As soon as our notice, we would blast it out. But you would probably, if you're the one affected, you're going to know before we do. But hopefully that does not happen. Andreas?
Yeah, a couple days ago, I noticed that a road crew was putting sealer on the road on Capitol Expressway to fill in the cracks on the actual road of Capitol Expressway. Does that have anything to do with this project?
It does not.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were going to be out there. No, it's probably just, I'm assuming the county is making, repairs to cracks, perhaps.
Yeah. On that, I want to mention that once the project is complete, towards the end, our plan is to do a complete, we call it an asphalt overlay of the project, the whole project limit. So hopefully all that seals you see won't be there, once the project is done. So we want to completely cover it with asphalt concrete overlay.
I want to share too, one of the reasons, I've been sharing all of the utilities when each one starts a project out there, and it's like, we have the newsletter, it's going to happen from this time span, but I've been sending out, okay, water's, the water, San Jose water starting this week. MCI is going to be out a couple of weeks again, and letting you know the locations is so that, when there are a lot of crews out there, It helps you discern if it's related to the project or not, because there could still be other work out there, whether it's the city, the county, a utility, or the water district or anyone else. They could potentially be out there at the same time. So at least this way you can say, oh, Kathleen sent me a notice that these people were going to be out here at this location during this time. It's project related. So I hope that's helping. Anybody else? Are we going to end early tonight? Is it because we're such a small group, the holidays, put you to sleep? The information we do want to, we do, overlap, cover things that we've covered before, because we really want to show you how all the pieces work together and how it all comes together. And then your feedback is also helpful, because if this isn't resonating, we need to find another way to explain it too. So just happy to get any feedback we can. Or no one else has any questions, let's go to the next slide. And if something comes up, you can certainly pop up. So meetings that are coming up next in 2 weeks is the VTA Board of Directors. It's December 2nd. To my knowledge, we don't have anything on this project on the Board of Directors, but I just like to let you guys know when the meeting is. And then all about this project will be the Eastridge to BART Policy Advisory Board. That is December 15th. That is the Policy Advisory Board made up of the county supervisors, Cindy Chavez and Otto Lee, and your council members, Councilmember Carrasco and Arenas. I went ahead and I have calendared all of our 2022 meetings. So the dates are right there for you. And as always, we'll post this video tomorrow. I've already posted the presentation on the website, and we're available to come to your neighborhood association, your school, your work. Just let us know, and please communicate in the next quarter if there are things that you think about that you want to make sure we cover. I haven't put together the 2022 work plan yet. I've been trying to figure out okay, what's next, and so I'll work with our team, but I'd love to hear from you as well if there is something you want to make sure we cover coming up. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Kathleen, will you have a resource or information table at Eastridge Mall? Because there's a lot of group of people that go through the mall, especially during the holiday season. I think that would be a good outreach for VTA.
That's a great idea. It's not on the schedule. We are going to have a what's it called? A field office. The location has not been determined yet, but it would open a couple of months before construction. And if you recall, when we first started meeting, we talked about, I remember Andreas was talking about maybe having a model of the project in the field office. We definitely want displays there. We can talk to John about tabling. If there's an event or something that we should connect with, I can follow up with you later. I don't know that we would want to do it this year. I don't know, we'll have to think about that. But definitely, I think next year, but the mall is definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
And we also, we have our access office there as well. So I've made sure that we get information to that staff as well. And, even the newsletter, I took that to all of our bus yards, because a lot of our customers or a lot of folks in the neighborhood, if they're on public transportation and they're driving through the project area, they're not going to call community outreach. They're going to ask their bus driver, what's going on? And I want to make sure our operators are informed so that they can say, oh, this is for the Eastridge to BART, we're extending light rail, and give some information and also know where to direct people. So that's a great idea, using the mall, and John heard it. Anybody else? We're going to end this early. All righty, so again, I've noticed the stakeholder list goes up a few, and then I lose a couple and it goes up a few. So encourage your friends and neighbors to sign up for our stakeholder emails. You can always reach us directly. There's my contact. And if this is it, then I wish everybody a really good holiday season. Thanks for hanging in.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Same to you also. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I hope you feel better, Julie.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Good to see you all. Hi, John. How you doing? Long
Good,
time.
good.
I need to come by and see you one of these times.
I'm waiting on you anytime.
I know. I'm hoping that we bring you lots of good, people wanting to come do a lot of shopping this season. So
yeah, we're hoping so. But please come by and visit.
We will. We're going to stay out of your hair until the end of the first of the year, but we got some improvements going on out there with those repairs and stuff. So I hope we're keeping you updated.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right.
Everybody have a good Thanksgiving.
Right, you too. Happy Thanksgiving all. Take care.
Thanksgiving.
Take care.
Right,
You
bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. I'm ending it.